Hey friends, buckle up because today we're talking about sex after 50 and how to reignite your sex life, even if menopause or perimenopause has flatlined your libido and caused some unwanted changes down there. This is juicy stuff that's just not talked about enough, but it affects most of us, so let's get it out in the open and talk about it. There are just so many myths about sex after menopause, so today we're going to bust those myths and talk solutions on how to make it great. And you're going to want to stay till the end because I'm going to give you a list of specific things you can do to fire up your libido and rev up your love life, if you want to. Hey, it's Rena Hedeman, and this is Thrive After 45, a community for women where we talk about all kinds of ways to be your healthiest, happiest, most fulfilled self ever at midlife and beyond. Okay, recently I've talked about embarrassing menopause changes that happen down there, and thousands of women have left comments saying that their libido basically plummeted after menopause. And for some, it happened even before that. But a few women commented that their desire is actually stronger than ever now. So what's going on? Why do some women feel more sexual than ever, but others are like, whatever, not really in the mood anymore these days? Well, it has a lot to do with hormones, and we'll get to that. But first, let's look at the myths that have been circulating out there for decades. Myth number 1, sex after 50 is a slow fade to black. While that might be true for some women, it definitely doesn't have to be that way. There are some great solutions out there, and we'll get to them in a minute. Myth number 2, women's bodies were made for having babies, not for having sex once that window's closed. Wrong! Okay, sure, our bodies do change in some ways that can make sex more painful and therefore definitely not fun. But again, there are solutions that really work, and we'll cover those too, I promise. Myth number 3. Older adults don't care about sex anymore, especially women. Okay, I'm not a sex expert, but I am a professional certified coach. And believe it or not, this topic comes up a lot. And in my conversations with hundreds of women about this, what I've found is not that they don't care about it, but that there are more obstacles to deal with that make intimacy just more difficult. So they just sort of feel like it's easier sometimes to ignore that part of their life now because they don't know what else to do. But there are ways to reignite the flame and bring intimacy back into our lives, or keep the flame from dimming in the first place. And I'm going to get into all of that. But first, I just want to touch on why sexual intimacy really benefits your health, both emotionally and physically. And I'm not trying to push this. You do you. And if you're just fine without it in your life, well, then that's great. As long as your partner, if you have one, feels the same way. As humans, we're emotional beings, and intimacy strengthens that emotional connection between partners, allowing them to feel understood, supported, and valued by each other. It also helps build and maintain trust because intimacy involves being vulnerable with one another, sharing fears, insecurities, desires in a safe and accepting environment. Sex can do wonders for your body, too. It's like a natural health booster, especially for those of us over 50, because it triggers the release of oxytocin and endorphins, which reduce stress and enhance sleep quality. Sex can also improve cardiovascular health and pelvic floor strength, and the increased blood flow helps with vaginal lubrication and elasticity, and supposedly it even contributes to better bone health. So there are good reasons, both physical and emotional, to keep the flame alive. But before we talk about solutions and how to reignite that spark, first we have to understand why our libido hits the skids in the first place. But don't worry, I'm going to tell you how you can change that. I'm not a doctor, but I have been through this. So I've done the research. I've talked to many doctors, and I just want to help other women who might be struggling with this. So I'm sharing what I know and what's worked for me. Okay, we all know that menopause is not just about hot flashes and mood swings, obviously. It's a profound transformation that affects nearly every aspect of our lives, including our libido. Here's why. During perimenopause, which for most women is in our 40s and early 50s, our hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone decline. Even though we think of testosterone as a male hormone, we women have it too. Not as much as the guys have, obviously, but we do have it, at least before menopause. This is important to know because testosterone levels in women significantly impact our dopamine regulation, our mood, and our sex drive. So with lower levels of testosterone in perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, we women naturally have decreased pleasure, mood, and libido. So that's testosterone. Decreases in estrogen and progesterone leads to changes in vaginal lubrication and elasticity. And you've probably noticed our skin down there is a lot thinner and way less stretchy than it used to be. And since lower hormone levels means less natural lubrication, it's no wonder sex can be super painful. So if you've already experienced that, of course you're not exactly going to be in the mood. It's hard to get excited for something that feels like shards of glass in your vagina. Sorry, just saying. So that's libido destroyer number 1, lowered hormones. Number 2 is less obvious, but it's really common, and that is our own body image. For most of us, despite our efforts to exercise and eat right, we can't help but notice that our body shape has changed. Like, what the what? Where'd that extra belly fat come from and that back fat? So we might be feeling less confident about our naked body, even if we're not consciously aware of it. So that doesn't help either. And problem number 3 is totally invisible, so most people don't even realize how much it's actually hurting their sex life, and that is expectation. I know, this sounds a little abstract, but stay with me here. Society leads us to believe that there's some standard definition of what's quote-unquote normal. And I think women, and men too, think there's a certain amount of desire they're supposed to have, or a certain number of times a week that's normal, or a certain approach to intimacy that's normal. I mean, Hollywood paints this picture that's unrealistic, but we accept it as what everybody's doing or what we're supposed to be doing. Especially spontaneous desire. You know, those steamy moments where you just fall into each other's arms and can't get enough of each other. Reality check for many of us, especially those in long-term relationships, it's more about responsive desire than spontaneous fireworks. And guess what? That's totally normal and totally okay. The spontaneous fireworks tend to happen in the beginning of a relationship because, get this, our brains are actually wired to crave novelty, newness. It can give us a dopamine hit. But after a while, the excitement of newness wears off, and that's okay. It's just how our brains are wired. The first key is to talk to your partner about it. If you're coming from a mindset of, yes, I want to be a sexual being, I want intimacy to be an important part of our relationship, say that. Communication is the secret sauce of intimacy. What are your expectations and needs and desires, and what are theirs? We've got to be open and honest with our partners, sharing what we want, when we want it, and how often. Maybe you prioritize more frequent intimacy, while your partner craves a more elaborate build-up. Talk about it. Explore different ways to compromise and ensure you're both getting your needs met. I know it might feel awkward. I mean, most of us were raised thinking you don't talk about this stuff, so we were never taught how to talk about it. We were never taught how to be comfortable with our own bodies either. But as we get older, we can get better at communicating. Try to bring it up in a casual, lighthearted way, maybe when you're out on a walk together or something. If you want to have intimacy in your relationship, if you want that emotional and physical connection, and it's important to you, say so. And then explain how for you sex can be painful nowadays, and tell how your libido just isn't what it used to be. Communication really is key to great relationships, as I said. It's crucial. Because one of the biggest relationship destroyers is when one or both partner feels rejected. And if your partner doesn't know that's what's going on, if you don't talk about it, it's really hard for them not to take it personally. So it's crucial that you explain what's going on with your body. The second key is to prioritize it. I mean, let's face it, it's easier to sit on the couch and watch Netflix than to do just about anything. So anything that's important to you, you have to prioritize. Just make sure you communicate what that looks like with your partner. Because, you know, we're all super busy. And if we're not on the same page about it and we don't prioritize it as an important part of our relationship, it's gonna fall by the wayside. Okay, finally, let's talk about how to deal with that lower libido and painful sex due to the hormonal changes of menopause. As I say over and over to people, you definitely should talk to a healthcare practitioner about this. I am not a doctor and I'm not giving advice here. I'm simply sharing what's worked for me and what options I know are out there. There are 4 things you can ask a doctor about which have made a huge difference for many women, myself included. 1. HRT, hormone replacement therapy, also known as menopausal hormone therapy. MHT. HRT is a medication that contains estrogen and/or progesterone to replace hormones that the body stops producing during perimenopause and the transition to menopause. It's available in pills, patches, and creams, or through an IUD. And as I'm sure you know, there's been a lot of confusion and fear regarding hormone therapy, but for some women, it really is a safe option that helps relieve most symptoms of perimenopause and menopause, including decreased libido and painful sex. But don't just believe what you've heard from wherever. Go see a physician who's trained in menopausal health. You can find one in your area at menopause.org. I'm not affiliated with them, it's just a great resource. If, like me, you're not a candidate for hormone therapy in the form of oral medication because of breast cancer or a family history of it or something else, you might be able to use vaginal estrogen. It's topical, so it doesn't get ingested by your system. It's a cream or a suppository you insert into your vagina a couple times a week. I tried the cream first. This is what the applicator looks like. And to be honest, it's kind of a messy and a pain, so I asked my doctor if I could switch to the suppository. This is the applicator. See how tiny an amount of estrogen this is? Here, I'll take it out so you can see. Another option is the estrogen ring, which I have not tried, but the nice thing about it is you set it and forget it. And then you don't have to replace it for 3 months. Okay, another solution I've tried is physical therapy for my pelvic floor. That's more to help you regain strength and control of your pelvic floor, which helps with stress incontinence and urgency incontinence. I learned about that the hard way. Got stuck in a seriously embarrassing situation, and I don't want that to happen to you. If you want to know what I'm talking about, check out this video right here. But back to PT for your pelvic floor. That definitely helps. And they also go over perineal massage to help with problems like painful sex. And by the way, I'm going to talk about all of that in an upcoming video, so stay tuned. Okay, number 4 might seem obvious, but we all need to be reminded. No matter what we want in life, health, happiness, intimacy, adventure, fun, we're not going to have it if we don't make a real effort to take great care of ourselves, right? I mean, talk about priorities. We've got to eat healthy food, get moderate exercise on a regular basis, including weight training in our fitness regimen, moderate or lower our alcohol intake, and obviously avoid smoking altogether. It's not just about living longer, it's about living better, right? It's about quality of life. It's about how we feel physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. If we want sexual intimacy in our life, we have to feel good enough to actually want to have sex, right? And if we're not feeling great, then no part of life feels great. So we've got to prioritize sleep and nutrition and exercise and muscle mass. All of those play important roles, not just in our sex life, but in our quality of life. It's not about living a long life. It's about living a long quality life. What do you think about any of this? Leave a comment below and share your thoughts and experiences. What works for you? Let's keep this conversation going and help each other. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more hot topics about what it really means to be a woman in all our glory and to thrive after 45. And remember, sex after menopause can be a vibrant, fulfilling, and downright amazing part of your life. By understanding your body, exploring solutions, prioritizing communication with your partner, and embracing your own sensuality, you can have intimacy that brings you joy and connection for as long as you want. Don't be afraid to ask questions, explore your desires, and rewrite the script on what it means to be a sexually empowered woman over 50. Remember, you are beautiful, you are desired, and you deserve a happy, fulfilling life at any age. And if you really want to age well, with excellent health, beautiful skin, and amazing energy, you really ought to watch this video next, because knowing this is an absolute game changer. Bye for now.